Welcome back, friends, and hello to everyone joining for the first time. You're in a good place to slow down, breathe, and let an ancient story speak with fresh clarity. Here's a question to hold as we begin. How do you leave well when a season is clearly ended, but the people tied to that season don't want to let you go? Genesis 31 is about boundaries, courage, and the quiet strength it takes to obey God when staying would be easier in the moment. A quick backdrop to set the scene. Jacob has spent 20 years in the household of his uncle Laban, working first for Leah, then for Rachel, and then for flocks and herds. The last chapter showed a household buzzing with rivalry and restless desire, and a boss who kept moving the goalposts. Jacob has served hard, raised a growing family, and, despite the messy dynamics, watched God steadily provide. But pressure is building. Laban's sons are grumbling that Jacob's prosperity came at their expense, and Laban's attitude has turned cold. Into that tension, God speaks. He directs Jacob to return to the land of his fathers and promises to be with him on the way. Genesis 31 is a turning point where Jacob must decide: stay under a controlling arrangement that no longer honors the truth, or step into a risky obedience that will require clarity, honesty, and faith. Along the way, we'll see secret decisions, a midnight departure, a heated confrontation, a surprising dream, a search that turns up nothing, and finally, a boundary line marked by a pile of stones and an oath of peace. If you've ever had to leave a job, a partnership, or a pattern that no longer fit who you're becoming, this chapter will feel close to home. It's a story about God meeting us in transition, about telling the truth without burning everything down, and about trusting that the one who calls us forward also goes with us. A modern-day reading, Genesis 31. Jacob began to notice that Laban's sons were saying, "Jacob has taken everything that belonged to our father. He's gotten rich from what was our dad's." He also saw that Laban's attitude toward him wasn't friendly anymore. Then the Lord said to Jacob, "Go back to the land of your fathers and to your family. I will be with you." Jacob sent word for Rachel and Leah to meet him out in the field where his flocks were. He said to them, "I can tell your father doesn't look at me the way he used to, but the God of my father has been with me. You both know I've served your father with everything I had, but he's cheated me again and again, changing my pay 10 times. Still, God didn't let him harm me. When he said, 'The speckled animals will be your wages,' the flocks started bearing speckled young. When he said, 'No, the striped ones will be your wages,' the flocks started bearing striped young. God has taken your father's herds and given them to me. During breeding season, I had a dream. I looked up and saw the male goats mated with the flock. They were streaked, speckled, and spotted. The angel of God said to me in the dream, 'Jacob.' I answered, 'I'm here.' He said, 'Look carefully. All the male goats mating with the flock are streaked, speckled, and spotted. I've seen everything Laban has been doing to you. I am the God of Bethel, where you poured oil on a stone and made a vow to me. Now get up, leave this land, and return to your homeland.' Rachel and Leah answered, 'Do we have any share left in our father's estate? Doesn't he treat us like outsiders? He sold us, and he spent the price he got for us. Everything God took from our father really belongs to us and to our children. So do what God told you.' Jacob got up and put his children and his wives on camels. He drove ahead all his livestock and possessions he gained in Padanaram and started for Canaan, to his father Isaac. While Laban was away shearing his sheep, Rachel stole her father's household idols. Jacob deceived Laban the Aramean by slipping away without telling him he was leaving. He fled with everything he had, crossed the Euphrates River, and headed toward the hill country of Gilead. 3 days later, someone told Laban that Jacob had run off. Laban took his relatives with him and chased Jacob for 7 days, finally catching up with him in the hill country of Gilead. But God came to Laban the Aramean in a dream that night and said, Be very careful what you say to Jacob, whether good or bad. Laban overtook Jacob, who had set up camp in the hill country. Laban and his relatives camped nearby. Laban said to Jacob, "What have you done? You deceived me and carried off my daughters like they were captives of war. Why did you sneak away secretly? You didn't even tell me. You robbed me of the chance to celebrate with music and to kiss my grandchildren and my daughters goodbye. You acted foolishly. I have the power to hurt you. But last night the God of your father told me, 'Be careful what you say to Jacob.' I understand you want to go back home. That's fine. But why did you steal my gods?" Jacob answered, "I left secretly because I was afraid. I thought you might take your daughters away from me by force. As for your gods, whoever has them will not live. Search for anything that belongs to you in front of our relatives. If you find it, take it." Jacob didn't know Rachel had stolen the idols. Laban went into Jacob's tent, then into Leah's tent, and then into the tents of the 2 female servants, but he didn't find anything. He went into Rachel's tent. Rachel had taken the household idols and put them inside a camel saddle, and she was sitting on it. Laban searched the whole tent, but found nothing. Rachel said to her father, "Please don't be angry that I can't get up in your presence. It's that time of the month." So he kept searching but didn't find the idols. Then Jacob became angry and confronted Laban. "What's my offense? What sin have I committed that you chase me down like this? You've rummaged through all my things. What have you found that belongs to you? Put it here in front of our relatives, so they can judge between us. For 20 years I've been with you. Your ewes and female goats never miscarried. I never ate rams from your flocks. If an animal was torn by wild beasts, I didn't bring it to you. I absorbed the loss myself. Whether stolen by day or night, you demanded I make it right. I suffered in the heat by day and the cold by night. Sleep fled from my eyes. I served you 14 years for your 2 daughters and 6 years for your flocks, and you changed my wages 10 times. If the God of my father, the God of Abraham and the fear of Isaac, had not been with me, you would have sent me away empty-handed. But God saw my hardship and the labor of my hands, and he rebuked you last night." Laban answered, "The daughters are my daughters, the children are my children, and the flocks are my flocks. Everything you see is mine. But what can I do today about my daughters or the children they have borne? Come now, let's make a covenant, you and I, and let it be a witness between us." Jacob took a stone and set it up as a pillar. He said to his relatives, "Gather stones." They took stones and made a heap. They ate there by the heap. Laban called it Jegar-sahadutha, Aramaic for heap of witness, and Jacob called it Galeed, Hebrew for the same. Laban said, "This heap is a witness between you and me today." That's why it was named Galeed, and also Mizpah, watchpost. Because Laban said, "May the Lord watch between you and me when we are apart from each other. If you mistreat my daughters or take other wives besides them, even though no one else is here, God is witness between you and me." Laban continued, "Here is this heap and this pillar I've set up between us. This heap and this pillar are witnesses that I won't cross over to you past this heap to harm you, and you won't cross over to me past this heap and pillar to harm me. May the God of Abraham and the God of Nahor, the God of their father, judge between us." Jacob swore by the fear of his father Isaac. Jacob then offered a sacrifice on the mountain and invited his relatives to a meal. They ate and spent the night there on the mountain. Early the next morning, Laban kissed his grandchildren and his daughters and blessed them. Then Laban returned home. Genesis 31 shows what healthy change can look like when a season is over. Jacob doesn't leave because he's bitter. He leaves because God speaks and the signs confirm it. Growing hostility, shifting attitudes, a calling that won't let him stay the same. That matters. Sometimes obedience isn't staying and toughing it out. Sometimes obedience is discerning that it's time to go, and then going with honesty and courage. It also shows God's quiet protection in messy circumstances. Laban keeps moving the goalposts, but God keeps evening the scales. Jacob names it, God saw my hardship. Then God restrains Laban through a dream. We don't always notice it in real time, but this chapter reminds me that God can limit the power of people who harm us, and he can preserve the work of our hands when we've acted in good faith. Rachel's choice to take the household idols complicates everything. Scripture doesn't excuse it. It simply tells the truth. Even when we're headed the right direction, we can bring along old attachments that don't belong in the next chapter. Jacob, on the other hand, grows. He tells the truth about the past without shaming, sets clear boundaries without cruelty, and invites God to witness the new line between them. That's important. Reconciliation isn't always intimacy. Sometimes peace looks like a boundary with mutual accountability. You don't cross this heap to harm me. I won't cross it to harm you. The pile of stones at Galeed/Mizpah isn't a cute friendship motto. It's a guardrail set in grace. Finally, notice the pattern. God calls, return. Jacob obeys, God protects, and then Jacob worships. That rhythm, listen, act, trust, honor, can carry us through our own transitions. We've all seen this happen when someone realizes it's time to leave a workplace that keeps changing the deal, new quotas, shifting pay, promises that evaporate. They plan quietly, speak respectfully, and step away. Later, the old boss calls, heated, defensive, maybe even accusing. But with calm clarity, the person lays out the facts. Here's how I served. Here's what changed. Here's why I'm leaving. Then they set a boundary, put it in writing, and walk forward in peace. We've also seen this in families. Maybe a relative uses guilt to control decisions. For years you absorb the cost, but then you sense God inviting you into a healthier pattern. You start saying gentle no's, stop over-explaining, and create practical boundaries, financial, emotional, time. It's not about punishing anyone. It's about choosing a life that honors God and the people you're responsible to love well. And sometimes we've been Rachel, carrying household idols into the next season, habits that helped us cope, stories we tell ourselves, private loyalties we're afraid to release. They feel small, but they keep us divided. Genesis 31 invites us to travel lighter. Let go of what doesn't belong, and trust that God is enough for the road ahead. Let this be our wake-up call. When God says go, don't wait for every variable to be perfect. Move with integrity. Speak the truth without venom. Put healthy boundaries in place. And worship on the way, because the God who calls is the God who keeps. Let it also wake us to lighter travel. Ask, what household idols am I sneaking into this next chapter? Resentment, people-pleasing, fear, hidden compromises? Release them. The future God is giving you doesn't need them. Question for you. Where is God inviting you to set a clear boundary and take a faithful step? And what idol do you need to leave behind so you can go in peace? Next time in Genesis 32, Jacob leaves Laban behind, but must face something harder, his brother Esau. He sends messengers ahead, splits his camp, prays honestly, and prepares gifts. That night, alone and afraid, he wrestles with a mysterious man until daybreak and refuses to let go without a blessing. He leaves with a limp and a new name, Israel. It's a chapter about courage, prayer, and identity. What changes in us when we stop running and meet God in the struggle? Don't miss it. Thank you for spending this time in Genesis 31. If today named a boundary you need to set or an idol you need to drop, hold that before God this week. He sees your labor. He knows your road, and he goes with you. If this helped you, please like the episode so others can find it, comment your takeaway or the boundary you're setting. Subscribe for more gentle, chapter-by-chapter readings, and share this with someone navigating a difficult transition. I'm grateful we're walking this journey together. Talk to you soon.